Everybody. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, it's Josh here with Ripple Planet, and today we're just going to just go over some of the market activity that's been occurring with both Ripple XRP and Stellar STR. Okay, so first we're going to look at the 24-hour volumes. If you go to ripplecharts.com for the most updated version, but basically here it's going to show a few different items. What we're just going to focus on today is we're just going to kind of focus on the network value. If you can see here, the network value here is at $1.5 billion. And if you look at the 24-hour trade volume, it's just over $1 million, and the transaction volume is over $5 million. So it's always good to see when even when there's low trading volume, that the transaction volumes are higher. It just means that the network is being used for more things than just people trading. Basically, the network is used to convert currencies. So if we look at the transaction volume here, we'll see that in the past 24 hours, there's been XRP transacted. The largest currency has been XRP, and then there's BTC, and then there's US dollars, which comes next, Japanese yen, euros, and renminbis. So basically, there's lots of currencies, lots of things going on here, and lots of activity, which is always good. So if we look at this info, it's interesting enough that if we look here, it says the total network value is $1.5 billion, and then if we go over to another page over here, the coin market cap, we see Ripple. It shows here the market cap at 484 million. So yeah, significantly lower than what's listed over here on Ripple charts. But just for a key reason, and that is that the Ripple chart, it's getting its information from the total XRP, which is right here. This number right here is determining the network value. This number right here times this number right here, I shouldn't have clicked, is determining this network value. Yeah, so it's the big difference here is the 99 billion, which is the total amount of XRP that's existing. And then over here, you see that the available supply, they only have $30 billion worth of XRP. And the reason why these guys decided to do this is because the majority of the 100 billion XRP that are available haven't been issued. They're not on the market. So basically, Ripple Labs controls the release and the distribution of a significant portion of that 100 billion XRP. And some people say that it's pointless to calculate the market cap based on the total supply if that total supply isn't readily available to the market. So if that 100 billion isn't ready to go up for sale, then it shouldn't be listed as an available supply. And some people think that artificially inflates the market cap. But at the end of the day, nobody really knows. Even with the Bitcoin, for the available supply here, we see it as 13 million Bitcoins. But at the end of the day, who knows? I mean, Satoshi Nakamoto owns a majority of those Bitcoins. And who knows? I mean, some would argue that those aren't readily available for the market to be sold. Some might say, yeah, they are. A lot of those other Bitcoins, some of them have been lost. So maybe they're not included in the available supply. So I guess to each their own. Each person has a different way that they feel the market cap should be calculated. But either way, a good way to keep track of it is just to kind of kind of look at both pictures. Never look at one picture. Always keep your eyes open to as many pictures as you can, so you have a clearer view of what's going on. And then if we look at see what's going on here with Stellar. Stellar here is at number 6 spot in the market cap, and they've actually been holding up pretty well. Bitcoin has declined significantly in the past week. I think it went from around $300. I think Bitcoin went, if we look at the 7-8 charts, back on the 12th, Bitcoin went from around, let's say, $280, $270, and it went all the way down. At one point, it was all the way down to $175, and it's just slightly recovering somewhat. It was at 196. So during this significant decline, if we look at the market cap reduction from roughly 4 billion down to just pretty much at one point almost half, but now roughly well, what are we at now? 4 billion, almost 4 billion down to 2.7. So yeah, so significant, almost over $1 billion of equity just got shaved off. So lots of people are have lost money here if they were, like, lots of people thought Bitcoin was cheap when it was at around at this level as well, like $270. Whoa, Bitcoin's over $300. Whoa, I better load up. Then they load up, bang, $100. So yeah. Anyways, if you look at this 7-day chart right here, you'll see it went from 4 billion, roughly lost about over a billion in market cap. So now we go down and we look at what Stellar did over the past week. So we click at Stellar, and then we do the 7-day chart, and Stellar, this around the same time, as Bitcoin was declining, Stellar was it did that dip too. It kind of dipped down to these levels, the same it kind of fell with Bitcoin a little bit. Most of the cryptos fell with Bitcoin. But this one dropped down from, around just under $20 million market cap to around $14 million. But the interesting thing here, if you look at it, is it's actually recovering somewhat better than Bitcoin. So right now it's at just over 17, just under $17 million in market cap. So it only actually lost a few million. But that's looking at it in relation to the US dollar. If we look here, this market cap related to the US dollar, and if we look at it in relation to the Bitcoin price, there's something interesting happened, because it was actually, there was a larger gap between the Bitcoin price, between the price of Bitcoin, between the amount of Bitcoin you could exchange per each Stellar. So that was significantly larger back last week. And then if you look now, that's actually tightening up. So it's actually tightening up quite significantly. And yeah, and I mean, I guess anyone can speculate on the reasons why that it's happening. If it's going to continue, who knows what the trend has in store for us. But we do know that that it didn't crash, and lots of people have some negativity and some things to say about Stellar. Oh, they're on one validator node. It's centralized as ever, and it's buggy and whatever have you. But at the end of the day, when Bitcoin first started, Satoshi Nakamoto was pretty much the only one mining it as well. So I mean, everything's got to start from somewhere. Stellar's a relatively new protocol, even though it's based on the Ripple consensus protocol. They're still making some changes to their core to their core code. So they have lots of changes to make, and they're actually in the process of making those changes, which is why uh, which is why um, which is why sometimes they have to resort to these things like being on one validator node and so forth. Um, so if we go back to the coin market cap page, and we take a look at what Ripple did in over 7 days, and it's interesting too, because a week ago, if you looked at it, um, so Ripple was sitting at a $600 market cap according to Coin Market Cap, and then when the big tumble happened, it shot down to around 450 million, and then it actually somewhat still somewhat lower. I mean, now it's at 470 million. But again, if you look at the price, uh, in U.S. dollars, you'll see this decline, and this gradual decline. But then, if you look at the price in BTC, you'll notice that the gap here was much larger, right? And then over time, tightened up, and now we're much closer, right? So that's always something to keep an eye on, and always, just to be aware of what's happening with you know, with the exchange. How much Ripple can you get with each Bitcoin? What's the exchange rate? So that's always good to keep in mind. Okay. Yeah. So the other thing is that we need to try not to worry so much about the day-to-day prices. Lots of times people are watching the markets and just sitting by and just watching all the numbers and just thinking, oh my gosh, it's getting so bad. And especially when Bitcoin started that fast started diving pretty fast, lots of people were getting nervous about their holdings. And again, just to keep in mind, I mean, just because Bitcoin is at 100 and what $200 now, or went down to 170 bucks, lots of people thought it was cheap then. But nothing's to say Bitcoin can't go back into double digits or even single digits for that matter. I mean, so just keep that in mind. Doesn't mean it's not worth anything. Even if Bitcoin is only worth $1, it still will have some utility. Even if it's worth 10 cents, it will still have some utility. It still had utility when it was worth pennies. People were using it to buy pizza, so they got to eat with it. So, don't be stressed out about the price, but also don't put your whole life savings in and hope to get rich. Lots of people try to buy Bitcoin and say, "Oh, it's only $200 now. Let me buy, a few thousand, because now when they're 10,000, I'm going to be a millionaire." Again, anything's a possibility, but always be somewhat conservative, and don't put all your eggs in one basket, and uh, and be patient as well, and keep your eyes open for new opportunities or more promising opportunities. All right. Hopefully this video has been informative, and remember to subscribe, follow, and like. Thanks so much.